Seriously, Disney, keep each episode of Amphibia run for half an hour. Make it happen. Well, we had Wendy Wu, and now we got Marcy Wu. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, into the episode of the reveal of Marcy. And you know it's a great episode when I can officially say without a shadow of a doubt that this is one of the greatest episodes of Amphibia. And let me just say it, cause I'm sure that many of you are thinking it as well. I freaking loved Marcy's character. Not only was she almost the complete opposite of Sasha, but her personality alone is something that I can't wait to see more of further on into the series. But anyways, I understand that I haven't been able to be as consistent on my channel lately, so I've decided to chunk down the length of my videos just a tad bit. So as usual, let's not waste any more time and get straight into the analyzing. So from the beginning, the gang finally make it into Newtopia, only to find out that the gates have been closed due to a stampede of Barbara ants invading the land. Or Barbarians. Yeah, Barbarians. And before they're nearly taken down by the group, they're saved by none other than the spectacular genius herself, Marcy Wu. And like I had mentioned from the beginning, I absolutely loved her personality, starting from her extremely harmless and kind demeanor to her hilarious clumsiness. I mean, she, Launchpad, and Goofy can have a clumsy competition together because I honestly wouldn't know who would win. Maybe she would come out second with Goofy on top. Anyways, as it turns out, Marcy was given an even better destination than Sasha once was when she warped into the world of Amphibia. Because while in the land of Newtopia, she managed to become the king of Amphibia's chief ranger and studied about much of its wildlife. And some significant things to point out would be questions that I honestly didn't really think about until it was brought up in this episode. Like, if Sprig is a poisonous frog judging by the color of his reptilian skin, how long until Polly will receive her legs, which apparently was answered to be 2 months from now? And most of all, just how special is the history behind the Planters family lineage, since the farmers of Amphibia are highly underappreciated as described by Marcy herself? And is Marcy's cape a reference to the Zelda video game franchises? Okay, so that last one was a bit of a running gag, but yeah, the main first three are definitely something to think about. Plus, what would Polly look like with legs? Would she look like Darwin from The Amazing World of Gumball, but purple reddish? Or maybe even Buff Frog's kids from Star Vs, who knows? So, they all eventually head inside the invasion defense hut and help plan a way to get rid of the giant ants, since they weren't even creatures known to the valley according to Hop Pop himself. But thankfully, due to Marcy having the knowledge of ant migration, possessing the skills of gaming, and once again, learning about the many wonders of this dimension's environment, she conjures up a plan. And despite her bubbly personality and clear opposite motives compared to Sasha, Sprig still doesn't trust her due to the previous incident with Anne finding one of her friends. But the questioning didn't last too long after, since just moments into planning against the ants in their own caves, Sprig manages to get digested by the mother of all ants and Marcy saves him. And not only did this mark Marcy under the category of trustworthy for Sprig, but this also taught Anne to let go of Marcy and believe that she can help herself. Since back in their world, Marcy wasn't exactly known for being the most cautious person alive, therefore making Anne paranoid to make sure that she remained safe. But due to the highly catastrophic world of Amphibia, it taught Marcy to not only utilize her incredible unique skills in science, but also it taught her to adapt and overcome her habit of not knowing how to survive on her own. Plus, during the scene with Marcy saving Sprig, we can clearly see that her eyes glow light green, and this pretty much for sure officially confirms the Calamity Box theory, or at least gets us to conclude something similar to it. And even though the colors for the background in the promo poster displayed Marcy as most likely resembling the blue gem and Anne the green, it's plain to see that it's actually the other way around. Instead, Anne's eyes all the way back from the very first episode up until the season 2 premiere has been hinting that she is the one who resembles the blue gem from the Calamity Box. And more than likely, the trio are probably gonna have to teamwork together sometime, gather around, and hopefully the Calamity Box will have the ability to power up once more. And notice that both Anne and Marcy tend to have their eyes glowing when they're practically displaying their full potential. The only person left that hasn't showed their eyes glowing a certain color is the one and only Sasha. Someone who probably won't have her eyes glow red until perhaps the next time she spars with Anne, or maybe even learns her lesson on becoming a better person. Because in the end, we aren't exactly certain on what causes this effect as of right now, nor do we know if them simply coming together will activate anything. And by the way, if you're wondering if Marcy mentioned anything about the Calamity Box in this episode, The answer is no. Maybe it'll be brought up in the future, and hopefully, since Marcy was shown holding it in the introduction, they'll bring it up again. And plus, knowing Marcy, with her incredible analyzing and brains to figure out the biggest of solutions, she may be the designated person to figure out how it works. And let me remind you that she was literally transported onto the land of some of the wealthiest, wisest creatures of Amphibia. The ending of this episode consisted of Anne and Marcy discussing about their experiences while in Amphibia, including Anne having to explain her fight with Sasha. But then there was also the cliffhanger about a certain person saying how the pieces are beginning to fall into place, as if the event of Anne finding Marcy was all part of the plan. Now, I don't know about you guys, but whenever they get my boy Keith to voice anyone, usually that means things are about to get lit.
At least the party's lit now, Anne.
On a serious note, we can already determine just by coming off from his attire that this is the same giant from the Season 2 poster. And before I could even theorize anything, it's common sense that this is more than likely the king of Amphibia. The real questions are, is this guy by any chance evil? Is the chess-like game including Marcy and Anne foreshadowing something sinister? And if so, what exactly? Does this mean that the king is planning on getting Anne to backstab Marcy since she's shown behind her on the board game? Or could it be just that the king is simply inferring that Anne is just another piece to the puzzle and therefore she is now a part of the game? And what are these frogs surrounding both Marcy and Anne on this board game? Are they significant to any of his planning? Also, quick cartoon question. How in the world did he know that Anne looked like that to be able to make this figurine? I mean, was it because Marcy told him about herself and her friends and also had a picture of them together? Because even though this scene looked cool, it's the tiny details like this that make it all worthwhile. Well, as always, thank you all once again for watching another one of my special analysis videos. I'm definitely looking forward to making more and hopefully in shorter lengths. Don't forget that I have a Patreon at patreon.com/TMBT. Thank you all once more, and I will gladly catch you all in the next one. Peace!